Welcome back, Patriots, to the Ball Brad Show. The GOP, RNC, heck, the Republican Party, baby, has got a massive victory regarding election integrity out of Pennsylvania in a decision that may affect the swing state of Pennsylvania and most likely other swing states. The U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals reversed on Wednesday the order of a federal district court and handed the RNC a victory regarding signature verification for mail voting in Pennsylvania. We all know this was a massive issue in 2020. We hope it's not a massive issue in 2024, but at least we're moving in the right direction. The case centered around this: whether mail-in ballots that were mailed in time, but either possessed an incorrect date or no date at all under the voter's signature should be counted. I'm going to give you the Democrat Party's argument, the Republicans' counter argument, and then wrap it up. Democrats argue that the materiality provision established in section blah, blah, blah for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 applies in this case, that the ballots could therefore be counted. The materiality provision prohibits denial of the right to vote because of an error, and kind of hone in on the idea of right to vote, because this is going to be established under the Republican Party's counter argument. The right to vote because of an error of omission, or error or omission rather, on paperwork related to any application, registration, or other act requisite to voting, if the mistake is not material in determining whether an individual is qualified to vote. The RNC countered that enforcement of the date requirement for a ballot, quote, does not impinge on the right to vote because the materiality provision only prohibits immaterial requirements affecting the qualification and registration of a voter, not additional requirements for casting a ballot. The Third Circuit Court of Appeals decision, in which two of the three judges concurred, all three appointed by Democrats, which is kind of a big deal. So basically what you have going on here is this idea of voter verification versus casting a ballot. And it's basically a two-step process. And the Democrat Party is really honing on the first step of the voter qualification idea, and then kind of extrapolating that into a casting ballot, where the RNC is saying, no, these are two separate arguments. We're going to deal with casting the ballot. The voter qualification is a whole separate thing. So first, you prove you're an eligible voter, meaning voter qualification, and then once you are deemed eligible, you cast your vote by following a set of rules, like filling out a ballot correctly. In other words, casting a ballot. Now, the dispute of this whole thing is the argument was over mail-in ballots that either didn't have a date next to the signature or had the wrong date just altogether. Democrats are saying, well, a small mistake like missing or incorrect date shouldn't disqualify somebody's vote. And they refer to the rule, again, the materiality provision, that says minor errors on voting paperwork shouldn't stop someone from voting, in those errors don't really question whether they are eligible to vote. Yes, there is truth to that, but my question has always been, well, if the date is wrong, the signature is wrong, then who's to say that actually that person that has the eligibility to vote, meaning the right to vote, who's to say that's even that person in the first place? Now, some of you might be thinking, well, the date on it is all wonky. Why would they accept something with the wrong date? Most of these voter places, I don't know what the hell you would call them, they basically take the stamp that's on the mail-in ballot, the same way the IRS wants you to see your tax return post-dated by April 15th at the latest. You also have the RNC's counter argument here, where the RNC argued this rule about minor errors only applies to the process of determining if somebody is eligible to vote, meaning the first step, not the second. They said once it's established that you're eligible, how you cast your vote, likely following the instructions on the ballot, is a separate matter, which was stated earlier. According to the RNC, the rule doesn't protect mistakes made in the second step, like dating issues. And if you can't fill out a ballot, there's bigger issues going on, especially if you can't figure out what the hell the date is. The RNC's point here is that they're saying the rule preventing voting denial over minor paperwork mistakes doesn't apply to the act of casting the ballot. So the requirement to correctly date a mail-in ballot isn't covered by this provision, protection, application, however you want to refer it. They believe such requirements are part of ensuring the ballot is properly filled out and submitted, which doesn't affect a person's fundamental right to vote. So this goes on a lot further. I think they're going to be definitely challenged on this. But if we were to break this all down in simplistic terms, the RNC believes that once you're confirmed as an eligible voter, You must follow all the rules for how to cast a ballot and do it correctly, including your date even on the ballot. Mistakes in this part, they say, aren't protected by the rule meant to prevent people from being unfairly denied the chance to vote. And I like this idea because now we're getting the realm of more specifics in terms of voting. And that's hopefully going to sit there and eliminate a lot of this voter fraud that is taking place. You're not going to hear that from the Democrat Party unless they actually lose an election. Regardless of whether we win or lose, there is still going to be election fraud because they didn't want to deal with it in 2016. They didn't want to deal with it in 2020. And they're not going to deal with it again in 2024. Maybe they will, since this is in the right direction. But I'm curious on what you think about all of this in the comment section below. Let me know. Do you think the Democrats are going to cheat here in 2024 again with this mail-in balloting, this universal mail-in balloting, people putting in the wrong dates, the wrong signatures, voting on behalf of somebody else for properties that don't even exist? Let me know in the comment section below. Patriots, I'll see you next time here on The Paul Brad Show.